Is the car that I drove. That is the car that we drove with Hayley Atwell in there. I can't believe that it's at the bottom of these steps. We were doing donuts and the tires were on fire, smoking. Not on fire, they were smoking. It's really amazing to be here. It took a lot to be able to film here during that time period. Amazing what the country did, what Rome did, what Venice did, and to be able to finally be here at this moment where we're sharing it with everyone it's quite a privilege. It's quite a privilege. Look, this is a city of cinema. You know, I mean, the films that I grew up with, watching, you know, of Italian cinema, to be able to take these cars and create action and develop character. You know, the character of Hayley Atwell, Grace, really inspired the tone that we are allowed to have through Rome. And I've always wanted to film in Venice, and McHugh and I had talked about it for many, many years. So to be able to go from Rome to Venice, you know, you'll see it. And they're both different tones and represent a different emotional aspect of this picture. There's plenty of excitement, plenty of action, and very vivid characters, and a global cinema experience for audiences that really need to be seen on the big screen. You know, I know there's other ways to see it, but this film was really made from top to bottom, from every single location, from the characters, from the scale of the film, the mix that we have, the music in the film. It is an immersive experience for an audience.
Right here.
So many good and intense memories of filming here in Rome. We have this yellow car behind us, which we nicknamed Trixie because she had a mind of her own. And so to spend 5 months learning how to drift with Trixie whilst both Tom and I were handcuffed to each other meant that by the time we got out to Rome, we had a good chance that we weren't going to harm the city, the streets, the fountains, the stairs, other people. And so the fact that we've come back here with the city intact and also thriving is such it feels bittersweet. It has been relentless and intense in the most life-affirming way. It's both McHugh and Tom have this symbiotic relationship whereby they are bouncing ideas off each other all the time. So you can walk onto set on any given day and a script change will happen, or they'll throw out a new bit of dialogue, and they are encouraging you to come, as the actor, to come up with ideas. And so it's very much a collaborative back and forth process. And I knew going into it that if I surrendered to that process, then I was going to have the most extraordinary ride and surprise myself with what I could do. I think what amazes me about him is his dedication to always try something else, try something new, get better. As soon as one film is over, he's like, okay, yeah, great, I'm pleased that worked out, I'm glad it was all for the audience, great, and he's moved on to the next thing. He's very good at letting it go so he can actually focus on, okay, what is the thing that I don't know how to do, that I think would be impossible for me to do? How would I go about with all the steps in place to make sure that I can find a way to fulfill that ambition? And I think it's his attitude more than anything else that I'm most impressed about, as in his consistency to always develop from genre to tone, to the characters' arcs, to the visual spectacle of it. It's a film that we haven't seen anything of this nature ever before. It pushes the envelope technologically. Everything, you know, we're doing in this movie is all for the sake of delighting the audience. And I think it will delight, it will excite. You'll wake up the next morning with an emotional hangover from it. Make sure you sleep well and you're hydrated.
Tom and McQuarrie can't bring anything but a sense of adventure, because you're either jumping off something, something will be explosive, it's either real life, it's a weekend race, or it's actually shooting. So nothing is mediocre in this world. The prep is intense. We train, we do martial arts, I did sword fighting. You have to be prepared for everything in these movies, and that's also one of the reasons why I love making them. If you like Mission Impossible, it's another Mission Impossible movie and you will enjoy it. We will not disappoint. It is bigger, it is grander, it's more explosive. It's Tom Cruise on a motorbike off a cliff and 4 fantastic women and more. I mean, go and see it.
Oh, whenever I get the call to make these films, or I see Tom again, I know that I'm going to have an adventure. I don't know what adventure the shape it's going to take, but I know it's going to be incredible. And as you know, this one was like that times a million. It was crazy. One of the great traditions of mission is the globe-trotting kind of like country-to-country spy mission. That was what I think attracted Tom to the idea of Mission Impossible in the first place. We make a lot of calls. There's a lot of diplomacy, a lot of talking to various municipal figures. Can we please do this? Can we please do that? Can we lock that street right on that river? And a lot of the time, if Tom makes the call, they say yes. Because I would. He asked to land a helicopter in my garden. I said, yes, of course I'm going to. We all train hard, we always usually have to learn a new skill set. I had to learn to drive a boat in Venice, there's very narrow canals. I've had to learn to drive a speedboat, to scuba dive, all this kind of stuff. You always know you're going to take on a new skill set because Tom wants us to be the ones doing the thing that we're doing. If the actor's doing it, the actor can act while it's happening. If a stunt professional takes over, you only get the stunt, you don't get the acting. And I think Tom appreciates the value of that. I think just the sheer visceral thrill of the film, it's such a propulsive, relentlessly paced, exciting movie. It's everything you want a cinematic blockbuster to be. But it's underpinned by genuine kind of like emotion and characters that you can invest yourself in. And it means something when those big stunts happen because you care about the people involved. Whatever Tom did, it wouldn't surprise me because I know he will put his mind to anything. So if he does go into space, I'm not going to be surprised, because that's, of course, it's Tom,
Oh God, I mean, it's the scale, I think. The first movie I was doing, I just wrapped the first season of The Crown. And it had epic scale, of course, because of the royal family and the palaces and the sets, but it was still kind of, a small English theatre contingent. And then I stepped off that set, flew to Paris, landed and was straight in with Tom. And this huge movie set with so many crew and stunts, and I was doing my first stunt, and it was overwhelming at that time, but such an amazing initiation into filmmaking. And when you're around someone like Tom, who's such a cinephile and who loves what he does so much, it is life-changing, really.
Oh, just because they believe in that's what, filmmaking is. And I think they want to take the audience on an adventure. And when you have that in mind, you have to go, okay, it's not just for us, it's for everybody. So how can we make people feel immersed in almost as if they're on that motorbike, almost as if they're jumping off that cliff themselves. And then you feel it with them rather than sort of watching someone do something impressive. And I think that's the power. On Fowler, I did 6 months of training, and you're required to do that to kind of go on the mission initiation of training because you have to have a relationship with your body so that, Tom is the best runner in the world, for example. And so suddenly if you're asked to run next to him, which I was in the first Fowler, you can't be flagging behind like I was at sports day at school, You have to really step up and be ready. So that's the physicality of it is also a very beautiful gift because you kind of have to learn about your physicality, and that's something that I didn't have before. It's not an action movie to me. It's got drama, it's comedy, it's a thriller, it's kind of sci-fi. It's kind of, I said to Tom after, it's almost like a genre of its own, And that's such a beautiful, radical thing to do with a film that traditionally is seen as, it's just an action movie, but it's so not. I know that anybody that watches that will feel that, and that's really exciting. At the beginning it did, but now I'm so used to him going beyond what I could ever imagine, I stop even imagining what he might be doing. And then you see him do it, and it always goes further than you imagine, so it's kind of best not to even think about it and just to watch him in awe.
This is, I think, a pinnacle. The franchise is one of the top, if not the top, action franchise, movie franchise. To be involved in such a, significant role as the main villain is a highlight, if not the highlight of my career. And it just makes me feel like I did the right thing by taking a chance on this career. Whereas a kid from the Bronx, with my background, there weren't many opportunities. So to be here, to be working with one of the greatest movie stars, if not, I don't know who else has done what he's done for 4 decades. It has been not only an honor, but a real learning experience. And I hope to get a chance to do it more or again in my life. They're going to be surprised at how a story can be twisted again and again. How many surprises, how shocking it can be, and how funny. There's so many moments in there that I unexpected humor, but good humor. Like, I was a fan of the series as a child, you know, a couple of years ago. But it's amazing what Tom has done. Tom Cruise, in case you don't realize. What he's done, when you watch the first one and see how he's evolved, how much more refined and lethal and just purposeful his work is.
Oh my God, it was a dream come true. It was one of my dreams to be part of Mission Impossible. And actually I started training, learning martial arts and fight training and stunts years ago with a martial artist called Jason Noviello. And I would even write in my schedule, in my phone, sometimes I would write Mission Impossible instead of training to kind of like manifesting. And here we are. I saw the first movie when I think I was maybe 11. In France, in French. I saw it on a tiny TV that was barely working. It was black and white, but I loved it. I was blown away by the action and by the story. And yeah, there is the biggest stunt in movie history. So that's pretty incredible. And the movie by itself, it's not even the biggest thing in the movie. Everything is incredible. I saw the movie 2 days ago. I was just blown away. For a few minutes after I watched the movie, I couldn't even talk. I was just processing the movie. I can't wait to watch it again with an audience.
Of course I was a fan. I as a child, I loved action films. So I would be in my mom's living room. I broke her glass table one time trying to do one of the stunts. You know, so to be able to be a part of this franchise, having shootouts in Imperial Alley, acting like I was, you know, in my mom's living room behind the couch shooting the bad guys, this is incredible. I heard he doesn't like green screen at all. So when I heard that, especially after being on Top Gun, I knew that he wants to do everything practical. I was like, okay, that means I'll have to do some stunts. Okay, let me get ready, start stretching. Yeah. You know, with Top Gun, we focused on learning how to fly in aircrafts, which was incredible. But on this one, we had to learn so much more, and we were traveling around the world, which gave it another element of challenge. But also, you know, it's a spectacle that the audience is going to love, and I can't wait for them to see it. They loved Fallout. Fallout had great reception from an audience member, and I think we topped Fallout. And that was Tom and McHugh's mission. They always want to outdo themselves. And when I joined on to the franchise, I asked, how are you going to top it? And they said, well, we wouldn't do it if we couldn't. And I think we did. So watch it. I want you to watch it in the theaters, the biggest screen possible, with an audience, go on a ride, go on a global adventure like we did. Take the journey with us. You will not be disappointed.
It's like the Beatles. Everyone is slightly different and everyone's fantastic, truly. And they get better and they get better. It's hard to believe after Fallout, but this one is even more extraordinary in its grip on you. Yeah, truly. Sure, I was gobsmacked when I saw it. And I was I was there when we put the ingredients together. But when it came out of the oven, it was like, oh, yeah, beautiful, fantastic. My role is not that physical because he's a bureaucrat. He spent a lot of time looking at information and trying to sort things out and keep things moving as they should. They're going to be gobsmacked by the entertainment they're going to absorb. I was talking to someone in the armed forces and I said, you know, this stuff that we do is, and they said, no, you don't understand. After a day of what we go through, we love to see this stuff. The way it's presented, with the acumen that it's presented with, the detail they put into it, regardless of how it might actually show up, they love it. So I was thrilled about that.
I grew up watching the TV series, and then I watched every single one of the franchise with my wife. So I was a fan to begin with. So when I got the call from Tom and McHugh, I was like, you had me at hello. You know, I did Days of Thunder all those years ago, and Tom is he's an incredible human being. He's a wonderful guy, as you know, incredible actor, insane stuntman. But his stunts, he doesn't just, he trains for a long time for each one. The method that he takes to perfect each and every stunt, sometimes over a period of a year. I mean, he's like a perfectionist. I mean, and I don't know how many jumps he did, something like in the tens of thousands to prepare for this big jump that he does in the film. I mean, it's unbelievable. The guy's unbelievable. And he's a wonderful producer to boot, so yeah, he's an extraordinary guy. This is going to be tough to top. It's the biggest action movie of all time. It really is. And I'm so thrilled to be a part. I'm excited for the fans. They have no idea what they're in for. I mean, this stunt alone is going to blow their minds. You see this Fiat right behind me? This is the stunt that Tom and Hayley do down these steps. This is why we're doing the premiere here. It's nail-biting stuff. I mean, I watched it with an audience, and there was a guy next to me. He left an imprint on the armrest. That's how nervous he was. It was insane. Tom is always raising the bar. That's the thing about Tom. He's not satisfied with, okay, that'll do, or all right. That's just not in his lexicon. It has to be brilliant. It has to be huge. It has to be massive. Because he's always thinking about his fans. He doesn't want to let them down. So he's constantly pushing himself.
Wow, I love working with Tom and McQuarrie. That's the first thing. Like their work ethic and how smart they are and taking care of everyone is something that you don't find everywhere. So I feel blessed that I'm working with them. No, they're the best at what they do. They know that, like McQuarrie is a genius. And also Tom, and their complicity together makes these things happen. And for me, this is the best franchising ever. And they're making it wonderful. All the extreme scenes of stunt scenes, the scene in the steps is spectacular. It's spectacular. The scene in Venice, it makes me dream about it at night. The scene in Venice. And also, you know, this is an action movie, like packed of action and stunts, but it's also a movie that carries the emotion of the characters and the art. So they really take care of every character in the movie, and that's very important for the audience to recognize themselves in some of them. Whenever you think he's in the up top there in the mountain, he goes further. So yeah, it surprises me, but I think it's nothing impossible for him.
Thank you. A little bit.
Started with, if I said day one was on top of a moving train in Norway, jump up there, try to grab Tom Cruise doing 70 miles an hour in the most picturesque location you possibly could in Norway. And then it didn't end until we shot this through the pandemic, so it took a little longer, but it still was just electric all the way through Rome to Venice, back to Rome, to Abu Dhabi, London, you know? It's just electric is what I'd say. I was a big fan. I remember 25 years ago sitting in the theater watching him and Henry's character throwing the piece of gum against the aquarium and Tom running out, and I thought to myself, that's the coolest shit I've ever seen in my life. I'll be honest with you. I thought when I got to Norway we were going to watch him go off that ramp. I thought there has to be a few smoke and mirrors. There has to be. You know what I mean? Maybe at the last second, there'd be a stuntman somewhere along the line. And you get there and you watch him and you see it. First thing that happens, you hear, foo, 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 and he's coming in on a helicopter, hanging off the side, practicing his runs, jumping off. And it's disbelief. You can't believe it. Make the hair, you know, on your arm stand up. And then he comes screaming down. He comes, come up on the ramp. You got to see the ramp, Shea. You got to check out the ramp. You go up on the ramp, and it's all, you know, it's all him. And that's what makes these movies so good, is because you know it's him, and you have a visceral response to that man doing his own stunts. Not that I was surprised, but he's the biggest movie star in the world. So I was surprised in the fact, somewhat surprised that he has so much time for everyone. You know what I mean? It's genuine. You can't be the way he is if it's not genuine. You know what I mean? There's no way to keep that kind of energy up that he gives everybody everybody his time. You know what I mean? So he brings all of us here together. You know what I mean? It's as good as it gets. I was so taken with a humongous set-piece action-packed film that the acting wasn't sacrificed. You know, the characters and story are all there. You know what I mean? That's why I think they get better and better with each one.
They're so much fun. It's an absolute thrill ride. As an actor, you never know what to expect, because it's Mission Impossible. Anything can happen, and it usually does. McQuarrie is an absolute genius. He is a phenomenal writer. The partnership that him and Tom strike up together, the ambition of ideas that they have, the pressure that they put on the production team to keep pushing the franchise further and further. As an actor, all we got to do is show up and just marvel at people jumping out of planes and cars flying at left, right and centre and stuff blowing up. It's phenomenal. What audience are going to love most about Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning is it's the biggest, most amazing film in the franchise. They've, again to my surprise, gone above and beyond. They've exceeded my expectations, and hopefully for all the fans around the world, they'll have their minds blown just as we all have. So, from the small things to just turning up on set and giving amazing advice, to flying around in cars and doing all crazy stuff, the man is an absolute genius. He's hats off to him.
It is so phenomenal. I mean, we love Italy, we love Rome, and shooting here was such a dream and a real challenge. But more than anything, we were here during the pandemic, and to see the city back to life and to see everybody out on the streets, it's just it's very emotional. It's very emotional. We shot here in Rome, we shot in Venice, in Norway, and the United Kingdom, and in Abu Dhabi. They all did. I mean, everything that we do in these movies is informed by the location. I go to the places first and write what the location is telling me it wants to be. So when I came to Rome, I had no preconceived notions of what it would be, and I just let the city tell me what kind of sequence it wanted. It all starts with character and story. You as much as the stunts are there and as big as they get, it doesn't mean anything if you're not invested in the characters and the story, and that's what we keep going back to again and again and again. When in doubt, character. I couldn't begin to pick a favorite one. I mean, they're all different. They're all unique, all challenging in their own way. There's a submarine sequence, a desert sequence. There is a car chase in Rome, a foot chase in Venice, and a massive train sequence in the third act of the movie. There's something for everybody. Seeing it on the biggest screen possible, and really it's having a shared experience with an audience. That's really what we're all about. That's what we're trying to preserve. Everybody,